Who are you? So we have three different layers to this onion. We have the self, our shame, and the costume we use to cover our shame. So in Genesis 2:25, it says Adam and Eve are united, and they are in complete openness, and there is no shame. Key word, no shame. No costume is needed when there is no shame, so we just have the self, what God intended us to be, right? And so when the apple was eaten, we see that sin was brought into the world, and therefore sin brought shame, right? And so what's the first thing that Adam and Eve do is that they put clothes over themselves. Not just in the physical way, but in also the emotional way, where we build a costume over ourselves to show our shame. It was immediately felt when sin was brought into the world, right? And so what is this costume, right? So identities are used to cover our costume. And so a costume are basically our identities to cover shame. And so they can be roles. Are you a father, a wife, a son, a personal trainer like myself, or are you anything, any of these roles that we give to ourselves to provide value to maybe cover up something? Maybe the physical, maybe possession of a better body, better clothes, will drive our sense of worth. I'm this fitness guy and I'm in shape. Maybe that'll drive my sense of worth. Maybe approval, where I'm a people pleaser, and ultimately, if we do it for anything other than God, then it's misguided, and we are pressured to do sinful behavior to be accepted, right? So maybe you're a people pleaser and you're seeking approval in different ways. That's your costume. Or maybe it's your performance. I'm a very hard worker, right? But the problem with putting all your apples in that basket is that we can never perform to perfection 100% of the time, and it's a roller coaster. That's why Jesus was sent to perform for us, because we can never perform to perfection. All right, so let's go back to this diagram. Jesus and the Holy Spirit saves us from the outer two layers, the shame and the costume. He tries to return us to ourself, these chains that we adapted from the shame and the costume. So Jesus is brought into the world to perform to perfection, to bring us back to this self that we are, right? And so if we look at Galatians 5:22 to 5:23, we see that, but the fruit of the Holy Spirit is love, joy, peace, kindness, forgiveness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control. So what is this self? Is it through the Holy Spirit and we were given to this? Or what is this self that God intended us to be, but we've gotten shame and we put a costume over it? If we take these two layers around it off, who are you? Without all this, who are you? And ultimately, anything or anyone other than God that we allow to define who we are will ultimately either condemn us as a failure or abandon us outright.